I've got hacks for you. Lots of hacks. Never before seen hacks. Don't forget to watch to the very end so you can watch all my bloopers. There's a lot. Hi everyone, welcome back to Rachel's Studio. And in today's video, I am going to share with you 13 hacks to up your watercolor painting game. Let's jump right in with my first hack. All right, the first tip that I want to share with everybody is poster tack. Here is some poster tack I got off Amazon. There's lots of different poster tack and it goes by a lot of different names. But poster tack is great to use when you need a way to hang your wet brushes up so they can dry properly. You just attach the poster tack to any hard surface, stick your wet brushes on, and voila, you have a way to properly hang and store your brushes. Normally, I just keep them in a cup with the tips up, which isn't very good for the health of my brushes because the water then runs down into the ferrules and over time will ruin the brushes. So get that poster tack for better brush health and good studio organization. Hack number 2, Micropore 3M medical surgical tape that has been invaluable to me. It's been a problem that has plagued me forever, ever since my Duck brand masking tape company changed their formula for their tape, and I have not been able to find a tape that sticks both to my paper and to my work surface. But it does have little pores in it. It's meant to breathe when it's on your skin. So what you need to do if you paint really with a lot of water is put masking tape on top of that. Hack 3, the calligraphy pen hack, which thank you so much to my artist friend Charlotte Jordan who shared this with me, and so be sure to check it out. So let me show you how you can use a calligraphy pen to create small thin lines such as whiskers. I just use a straightforward nib, and let's look at how I apply the masking to my painting. So there you saw me put on the masking, then paint over it, and then I remove the masking, and here's what's left behind. And here's another painting that I recently did with my Patreon students where I applied the whiskers and little flyaway details on this little kitten. And here is what it looks like after the masking has been removed. And you get really fine, detailed, thin lines with this approach. Let's talk about hack number 4, a hack that I learned from the late, great Nita Engel, who wrote this classic book. But one of the things that she did was use illustration board and took a knife, like an X-Acto knife, and would carve little tree shapes in the illustration board and then use it like a stamp and then create beautiful paintings. Let's look at one. And here is an example of a painting that she did. She created all these trees in this painting just by stamping them with her little stamp. She stamps the trees, and then while they're still wet, she will spray them just a little bit on the top and let that drip down to the bottom of the painting. So the painting is being held upside down and it drips down and creates that misty, foggy looking background that's then becomes the top of the painting. Now, using this technique, you can cut out all kinds of different things. You can cut out trees, grass shapes, rock shapes, wave shapes. There's lots and lots of things you can do, and really the only thing that limits you with this technique is your imagination. If you would like to know more about this stamp tool, be sure to join my Patreon because I made my students a 10-minute tutorial just about how to use this really cool stamp tool. Hack 5. All right, let's look at some hacks with the spray bottle. But the hack that I want to show you today is one that will help you loosen up your painting. To show you what I mean, I'm going to paint this little tree, and it's going to look really stiff. I'm painting it on dry paper. I'm trying to use a variety of brush strokes, but somehow it just looks a little stiff. See, I'm using a lot of different colors, so that's good, but it just looks a little tight. So I just sprayed it. And I sprayed it in that upper right quadrant, and right away it looks softer, more lush, more natural, a little bit more random, and it starts to look more like a tree that has movement in it. So let's keep going and see what else I can do with this spray bottle. Here I'm spraying that upper left quadrant and see how it, depending on how much you spray, you can really get some branchy looking effects. And you can even drop paint into areas that you sprayed and they'll bloom out into the spray, creating natural looking textures. And there I I painted some grass, and then I even sprayed the grass, and it gives it a soft, dreamy look. So as you see this dry, you can see by spraying it, it created some really nice soft edges interspersed with the harder edges to give a much more natural, painterly look. I'll also use my spray bottle to soften the bottom of the grasses so they look more incorporated and look attached to the painting and don't look so stamped on. All right, let's jump right into hack number 6. I have not seen these watercolor painting brushes talked about a lot, so they are called Whisp brushes. And you can see that mine is well loved, but this is a Whisp brush, and you can see how it has separated little wisps at the end, which is great for painting fur textures, grass textures, trees, a lot of natural textures. Anytime you need a stripe, this is your brush. Let's see the Whisp brush in action. Here is the painting that I'm going to demonstrate this technique on, and this little white leg under the darker cat's head is the one I'm going to demonstrate. So here's my Whisp brush, and I'm just painting on some fur. Sometimes I use it in a flat orientation, and sometimes I use it in a side orientation to get different textures. Hack number 7 is a bokeh sponge created by the art Sherpa, who is a creator here on YouTube. She designed it for use with acrylics, but I've been playing with it with my watercolor, and it's a really neat tool. There are so many things you can do with it. In fact, in a later hack, I'll show you how I use it with gum arabic. But for this hack, I'm going to show you how I use it to create a bokeh effect. There are a lot of different ways to use this for the bokeh effect. You can use it by pushing it down onto the paper and then kind of turning it and twisting it, and it actually acts kind of like a lifting tool, kind of like a scrubber, but it's a very stiff sponge. So you can kind of go like this, you can rotate it and scrub it on the paper just a little bit, and it will lift the paint to create a really perfect soft circle. You can also dip it in water, rub it on soap, and then put masking on it and use it to apply masking to your paper. And of course, you can just use it as intended by putting some paint on it or stamping it in paint and then stamping it onto your paper for a perfect circle. And I'll probably turn this into a full real-time Patreon tutorial for my students too. I found this to be a great little tool, and it was really perfect for creating circles in a whole different variety of applications, including making this cute little flower. What do you think? Leave me a comment if you can think of other ways to use it. Hack number 8 is just pure, unadulterated fun, and it involves glitter. So you're going to hear about this medium later on in this hack video because there's so many ways to use it, but gum arabic is so wonderful for making your own paint. In this hack, I'm going to use gum arabic combined with glitter to make glitter paint. So what you do is you combine a little bit of water, a little bit of gum arabic. If you combine the gum arabic with the water and the glitter and then you let that dry, it won't be workable. You won't be able to paint with the glitter. So what you need to do is make your gum arabic and your glitter, and while it's all still wet, then you paint with that concoction for a full glitter paint experience. You can also use glitter eyeshadow for this hack. The gum arabic that I used, by the way, was by Holbein. I used a little toothpick just to mix it up. So the gum arabic acts as a binder, and it helps it stick to the paper even after everything dries. So if you just paint glitter onto your painting, it will just brush off. But because of the gum arabic added, it will stick to your paper. It's almost like a glue that sticks whatever it is in the solution to the paper, even after it's dried. And here I am putting some beautiful pink glitter on my paper here. And you can get it as thick or as thin as you would like. This would be great for mermaids or maybe a starry sky. I don't know. The sky's the limit. But have fun with this, and I can't wait to hear from you guys how this works for you, so leave me a comment if you try this. Hack number 9. Gum arabic is a really cool watercolor medium, and it has a variety of uses. But for today's hack, I'm going to use it as a medium to use for masking. So instead of masking fluid, you apply gum arabic. Let's see how I do this with this Bokeh tool. To use gum arabic as masking, what you need to do is first mix it with a little bit of water. I did about a combination of 1 to 1. That is 1 part gum arabic to 1 part water. Mixed that up, and then I dipped my Bokeh tool right into that, and then I stamped it just as you would with watercolor paint. So here I am stamping with my Art Sherpa tool with the gum arabic on it. And then I'm going to let this dry for quite a while. Another use for gum arabic, by the way, is to slow your drying time to make your watercolor paint workable for a longer amount of time. So it's going to take a while to dry, so let it completely dry. After that, you can paint over it as usual, just like you would with masking. So I'm going to paint over it with some colors and then let that dry completely. After that, I'm going to take my scrubber. If you don't have a scrubber brush, you can use any stiff synthetic brush that you might have. I used to use oil painting brushes, but you can even use watercolor brushes that are synthetic and they have enough of a snap to make them rigid enough so you can lightly scrub off the paint off the top of the gum arabic. And what will be left behind is a very nice soft edge and a very white spot of paper where the gum arabic protected the paper from your paint. So this is a great alternative to using masking, and it creates a bit more of a softer edge, but it does take a little bit more work because you do have to scrub off the paint with a scrubber or some other stiff brush to scrub it back to the white of the paper, but it really does leave the paper really white. Hack number 10 is to use a pastel pencil. Now, I've seen a white charcoal pencil, I've seen gel pen, I've seen white ink. There's all kinds of white things you can use to paint white back into your watercolor painting. For you new watercolor artists, try to use the white of your paper for your whites. But if your whites get covered up, for example, maybe you forgot to mask out your whiskers or you need a glint in your eye, you could try this hack. All right. Hack number 11, I've officially tried this after finding it a few months ago. Goo Gone for brushes that have been ruined by masking. And if you watch me, you know what I do to make sure that my brushes stay safe when I use masking with them. I always dip them in water, scrub them in soap, and then dip my brush in the masking. And this can be tricky. If you forget to rinse out your brush every few minutes, you might get some masking stuck in your brush. Oh no, what to do? Goo Gone to the rescue. Hey, that rhymed. And so you use Goo Gone, just use a little bit though, it's really abrasive. So I dipped it in some Goo Gone. I actually just stuck it in the Goo Gone bottle and let it soak for a long time. Don't do that. Maybe it melted the glue inside my brush so that a lot of the bristles fell out, but some of them didn't. The ones that were left were nice and clean. It really did work cleaning my brush, but it also really damaged my brush. So the next time I tried it on a brush that just had a little bit of masking in it. And in this circumstance, I found the Goo Gone. You just kind of massage it into your brush and then go get some Dawn dish soap and rinse it out really quick. And it really does work. So I love this hack. I'm definitely going to use this, keep this in my arsenal for when I have a masking issue. Here's another really cool hack, an octopus brush. Let's see how you create an octopus brush and how do you use it. So an octopus brush, and I'm giving it that name because I've never seen this. You take a brush that you don't care too much about, maybe just a cheap brush with really long, thin bristles, and such as this dagger brush that I'm going to use. I have 2 dagger brushes. I never use this dagger brush, so I decided for the good of this hack video, I would try it out. So I took it and I separated the hairs, added masking fluid, my Winsor & Newton removable masking fluid, but it won't be removable after you do this. And you shape the brush bristles into 3 or 4 or 5 different legs and splay them out as if it was an octopus shape. And then you let it dry, and then you can add more masking, let it dry. And then you use this tool to create really random and interesting grass textures or natural textures. But I got the idea, well, how would this work if I used a smaller brush maybe? And almost created a hyped up Whisp Brush. So I took a smaller brush that I had ruined, by the way, with my Goo Gone, and I dipped it into the masking and I separated the legs, and then I used that, and that worked even better, I thought, to create really cool grass textures. So let's check it out. Let's see how this looks. So here I am painting with my very interesting little octopus brush and getting some really cool textures. I really like it. So give it a try and let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, are you all ready for my final hack? I love this hack, it's such a cool idea. Hack number 13 is one I've been using, which is I add a little bit of paint to my masking. So the way that I do this is I mix up some very thick cream consistency paint, put it in the bottom of a small little plastic container, and then I pour a tiny little bit of masking on top of that, and then I mix it gently together. And then it colors my masking just enough so that I can see my masking when I apply it. I use Winsor & Newton removable masking, and that masking is kind of a light yellow color, so it's really hard to see when you paint it onto your paper. And so if you're painting something really refined like whiskers and you need to see what you're painting, also letters, but in a lot of circumstances where you need to see your masking, it might be really helpful to just add a little tiny bit of paint to your masking so you can see what the heck you're doing. I don't know what I was just trying to say there, but let's move on. That's what I was gonna say. I almost forgot. I need a script. Take off a little bowl. No, not a bowl. Don't make a bowl. That won't work. Use a ball. I said ball. Oh, the kitty's outside and it's raining. She doesn't want to walk across my wet patio. She takes a step and then she goes, and then she takes another step and goes like this. And then another step. But you can get it in different width. You can get it in different widths. Okay, it's a wrap.